This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Welcome back. It is hour number 2 of Money Moves here on VSiN. Femi Abebefe, Ben Stevens hanging out with you guys this Friday afternoon. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go as we continue to dive into the college basketball card that we have tonight and tomorrow. NBA All-Star Weekend is getting ready to get underway in LA later on this evening. I'm looking forward to the three-point contest because I do think there are a couple plays in the three-point contest that are valuable and will help you maybe make some money tomorrow is what we're all trying to do here. And of course, the All-Star game on Sunday. Or games, I should say, with the new round-robin tournament that they're doing with Team World versus Team Stripes and Team Stars, both representing the United States of America. But we'll wait to get into all of that. Want to let folks know first, though, off the top, that this segment on Money Moves is sponsored by Upside. Turn your gas purchases into real cash back with the free Upside app. Download Upside now and use promo code SPORTS for 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. Make sure you take advantage of that offer. Ben, I want to begin this second hour talking football because I love the National Football League. Everyone loves the National Football League. And the season is now over. It's come and gone. We're not even a week into the offseason, but the stories are always humming along in the NFL. And, hey, you look up in about a month or so, we're going to be talking about free agency in the National Football League. And one of the big guys that's out there, not in the market out there, but potentially available via trade, is Raiders star edge rusher Maxx Crosby. The former All-Pro no longer wants to be on the Raiders, according to sources. Jay Glazer was making the rounds on Super Bowl Radio Row last week, talking about, hey, like, Maxx Crosby would like a new home. He doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. Well, now over at the prediction markets, because you are able to bet this stuff, you can bet on Maxx Crosby's next team. Now, Crosby staying with the Raiders or retiring is the favorite. That's at 48 cents right now. You can go ahead and bet, so around like that 45% chance range. Detroit is up there. The Patriots are up there. The Eagles, the Bears. I mean, there are some teams that could, I mean, my favorite team, I root for the Dallas Cowboys. I'd love for them to trade for Maxx Crosby. I mean, they wouldn't have to do that had they not traded Micah Parsons. But, like, hey, you know, like we could trade for it. We could use a pass rusher. Everyone could use another pass rusher. And Maxx Crosby, it's not like he's like 36 years old. He's still a really good player. It's still an elite player, and a guy that unfortunately just has not been on a really good team in his career outside of 1 year where they made the playoffs. Is there a destination that you would see that would put a team over the top if they were to add a Maxx Crosby who's likely to go for a similar trade package as a Micah Parsons?
I think those second options that you mentioned there, 2 and 3, Detroit and New England, make a ton of sense. The Lions to pair him across from Aiden Hutchinson to have a better pass rush than they did a season ago would ultimately skyrocket this Lions team, I think, back to top of contending in the NFC. If there was anything the Patriots struggled with, although they got after Sam Darnold with some blitz packages in Super Bowl 60, it's having that dominant edge rusher who can maybe change a game on that outside. What they had this year in terms of their pass rush could only be amplified, of course, with the addition of Maxx Crosby. But Femi, I think you are spot on there. The trade package is going to resemble that of Micah Parsons. We heard the rumored trade packages for Myles Garrett around this time, entering Super Bowl week, when he demanded to leave the Cleveland Browns only to stay to become the richest NFL defensive player in history of the league. We are going to more than likely see multiple first-round picks sent back to Las Vegas to acquire Maxx Crosby if that is the case. A word to the wise, never trade with Howie Roseman, but the Eagles could certainly try to do just that. I do think the favorite, though, is what you said, around a 45% chance right now on Kalshi in the prediction markets for Maxx Crosby to stay in Las Vegas is still what I think is most likely. And not just most likely because it has the best chance right now in the prediction markets, but I think Clint Kubiak has made it priority number one. He understands the frustration that Maxx Crosby feels not having a spot to contend for anything really in the postseason with Las Vegas. Ultimately, I believe Maxx Crosby remains with this Raiders organization into 2026 because I think a vision will be presented. And I know it's still a rebuilding vision, But if Clint Kubiak, as the offensive-minded head coach, with Fernando Mendoza as the number 1 overall pick, pairing with Ashton Genty under a front office that is still young, led by John Spytek, that it might not be a great 2026, but they are building toward a future, finally, for Las Vegas, where Max Crosby can play a huge part in contending. I still expect him to remain in Vegas, but those other top 2 teams, the Lions and the Patriots, make a ton of sense and would have to offer up a ton to get Max Crosby's services.
Yeah, it's so funny because we're talking about the prediction markets where you can trade and buy and sell and try to get return on your investment. If you're the Raiders, I guess the question then becomes, with Max Crosby at age 29, about to enter his age 29 season, would this be selling high on Max Crosby? Is this an opportunity to sell high, especially if there's teams that are looking to call? Because we know the pass rushers like that don't come available in the open market. Like, those guys never make it to free agency. Micah Parsons didn't make it to free agency. Like, these other guys that have ever moved, like, those guys don't make it to free agency. If this is your chance to go out and trade for one of those guys, first round pick, probably need like another mid-round pick as well and a couple more. Like, who knows what the trade package is. It's going to be a big one, that's for sure. If you're the Raiders and you're in day 1 of this rebuild now under Clint Kubiak, isn't that pretty intriguing? You usually don't get better by trading away like all-pro caliber players, but this at least helps you down the line, because I don't think, even if the Raiders keep Crosby, this team is going to be competing for a Super Bowl next year. Maybe they can make the playoffs if Mendoza's awesome, but that to me feels like the ceiling. It doesn't feel like, hey, like the Raiders Super Bowl contender in 2026. I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm right in making that assumption.
Yeah, and it's very intriguing for Las Vegas from that perspective, right? Clint Kubiak has made retaining Max Crosby priority number 1, but you have the first overall pick. Last year you had a top 10 pick in Ashton Genty, and if teams like Detroit or New England, or heck, maybe even let me throw out the Cincinnati Bengals, want to make a move for Max Crosby to bolster up their team so they can be an immediate Super Bowl contender if they weren't this previous season like New England, you're talking multiple first-round picks in the top 20 of the draft. The Bengals have the 10th overall pick this year. The Lions have the 17th overall pick in that opening round. That could be incredibly enticing for a new head coach and a new regime to pair with your rookie quarterback and add some of that talent somewhere else on the field. Offensive line, skill position on that defensive side as well if you are trading Max Crosby. And you're probably not just getting this year's first-round pick from that franchise like we saw for Micah Parsons, 2 first-round picks in 2026 and in 2027 in exchange from Green Bay back to Dallas.
Yeah, to me, a team I would like to see do this, like, why not the Chicago Bears? You know? Like why not the Bears? Because clearly Ben Johnson, like, he looks like he's going to be one of those next coaches. Like, you have the coach. Caleb Williams took strides. Looks like you have the quarterback. He's super talented, Heisman Trophy winner. He lived up to that billing this past season, and it looks like he's going to continue to get better and better. They got the cap space. You're not paying the quarterback a bunch of money. If you want to kind of take that next step and try to really maintain control of the NFC North, because that's what Ryan Poles said at his introductory press conference a few years ago when he took the GM job. He said, we're going to take back the North and never give it back. Trading for Max Crosby is how you accomplish that. Because Green Bay, they're really talented. They're going to get Parsons back at some point. Obviously, that'll work out. Minnesota, they got to figure their stuff out, which we'll get into a little bit later on with some of the quarterbacks who are available out there in the market. And then Detroit's really talented, but Detroit, do they figure this thing out post Ben Johnson? Because last year it didn't go well. The defense fell apart, and offensively they didn't look like the same offense that we had seen in the past couple of years. So if you're the Bears, like, this is your chance to try to grab hold of that division. If you can get a pass rusher like Crosby to go along with that offense that you have. I mean, right now over at Kalshi, and like, I'm not saying to go out there and jam this right now at Kalshi, but like, you can get them at 10%. You know, throw a little flyer on Max Crosby to the Chicago Bears. To me, it makes sense if a team like Chicago would make that move as opposed to like a Philadelphia who seems like they're sort of on the descend from what was a really good run a couple years ago.
And just to Femi's point about the Raiders and how long this rebuild can take, even though I think you could sell that vision perhaps to keep Crosby in Las Vegas and not just say, hey, if you don't trade me, I'm not showing up for work at any juncture. The Raiders already a 200-1 price to win Super Bowl 61 in the 2026 NFL campaign. It is the third longest around the National Football League. The only team with longer odds, or two teams, in fact, both the Arizona Cardinals and the Miami Dolphins, at 250 to 1. So even if the Raiders surpass our expectations this year, and they're a 6-11 or 7-10 team where you feel confident perhaps that year number 2 is that bump with a second-year QB under the same head coach in Clint Kubiak, you're still not necessarily going to be a team that has one of the 8 or 10 best prices. And still the AFC West is going to be an absolute gauntlet each and every year. That division still has Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos.
So you mean to tell me the New York Jets have better odds to win the Super Bowl than the Las Vegas Raiders?
I believe, let me check that. They might have the same price.
Okay, they might have the same price.
Yeah, 200 to 1 for both Las Vegas and New York.
Wow. I mean, it feels like the Jets should be in that like Dolphins territory or wherever we're going. The Jets are horrendous. They're absolutely horrendous. At least the Raiders have the path to the young quarterback with Mendoza. And if that guy ends up turning into being a really good player, then it's like, okay, like you don't have to squint too hard and you could see this working out for Las Vegas, albeit in a very difficult division. But they at least have a path with a new head coach and a new quarterback. The Jets, they need someone to go through there and cleanse that entire building. It's that bad. It doesn't matter who they hire, who's the quarterback. The whole organization is absolutely dysfunctional, and that's why the Jets are the Jets. But hey, the Raiders, I guess, haven't been much better over these last 10 years or so. But at least they have a chance and have some hope with a new head coach quarterback combination in 2026. We'll talk a little bit more NFL, get to the NBA All-Star Weekend, as well as giving out our best bets to wrap up the show. More money moves on the other side here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back. It is Money Moves on a Friday afternoon. Femi Abebefe, Ben Stevens, hanging out with you guys at the Circle Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Talking some college hoops, NFL, a little NBA All-Star Weekend later, which we will preview in the next segment as the All-Star Weekend takes hold of Los Angeles at the Intuit Dome, home of the Clippers, where if you've been following the NBA, I mean, there's not a whole lot going on with that organization, right? Nobody's talking about payments and circumventing the salary cap or anything. It'll be a fun weekend. Always some drama in the association, but it's why we absolutely love it. In the last segment, we were breaking down, Ben, Max Crosby and his potential next team odds over on Kalshi. You can go ahead and bet those over at the prediction market, or I guess buy contracts at the prediction market is the actual term. Don't want to confuse the language here with some of that stuff. But they also have available a couple of quarterbacks, guys that got big contracts a few years ago, and it appears their teams are ready to move on. And that being Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray and Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. I want to start with Kyler Murray because, as Jonathan Gannon put it this season, they said that Kyler Murray's not coming back because we want to get his health bucket going in the right direction. Those are his words, not mine. I'd never heard the term health bucket, but hey, you learn something new every day. But Kyler, it feels like he's on the move because now you have a new head coach in Mike LaFleur, who is not attached to Kyler Murray. Jonathan Gannon no longer there. The Cardinals making this wholesale change in terms of the coaching staff, although they did bring back Nick Rallis, the defensive coordinator. But for the most part, a lot of change now down there in the desert. I'm of the mindset of if I had to pick one of these two guys, I would go Kyler before I went Tua Tagovailoa. And to me, why can't Kyler Murray be one of the quarterbacks that's a veteran presence for these teams that have some uncertainty, like per se the Minnesota Vikings or the New York Jets or maybe even the Pittsburgh Steelers, all of which who seem to potentially be in this market for Kyler Murray in about a month or so.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, Femi. And of course, it's important to remember this is not a free agent that is departing for a new destination just because things did not work out with his current NFL franchise. Kyler Murray under contract through the 2028 NFL season, or at least the 2027 NFL campaign. So when you're looking at where Kyler Murray can go, a trade is necessary. I think for both Kyler and Tua, it would be really interesting to see what the return is. We talked about for Max Crosby. It would be a Micah Parsons-esque package, more than likely 2 first-rounders going back to Las Vegas if Crosby were to be dealt. What are Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa garnering in the market? Is it a first-round pick? Is it a day 2 pick? Is it a combination of a day 2 and a day 3 to make it enticing for that other organization? That's what I wonder. I think it would make a lot of sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers to invest in one of those 2 quarterbacks, namely Kyler Murray, that I think has a little bit more upside than that of Tua in a new regime under Mike McCarthy. I really also find it fascinating, Femi, just the way that teams can approach getting a new quarterback, having a new option at that spot throughout the offseason. There's a trade. There's free agency, the market not overly robust, and of course the 2026 NFL draft. The market not overly robust. The Cardinals have the 3rd overall pick. Would they make a move for a Ty Simpson? Is he going to have his draft stock skyrocket here during draft season? Might that be the case for Carson Beck? I'm not so sure we see another first-round quarterback outside of Fernando Mendoza, or at least not 2 first-round quarterbacks in the top 10 of the 2026 NFL draft outside of Fernando. So that's the really interesting component for me. How does Arizona think they are best served going about their future at the quarterback spot with an offensive-minded new head coach in Mike LaFleur?
You know what's so interesting with these 2 guys, Kyler and Tua in particular, is that we just got done seeing an NFL season where one of the big stories, and definitely happened this past weekend at the Super Bowl, is Sam Darnold and his resurgence. Sam Darnold and like the renaissance that he went under and like this revival of his career. And Sam Darnold was in some bad spots, especially with the New York Jets. Everybody has the seeing ghosts and all that stuff, the mononucleosis on a lesser scale. But like, if Sam Darnold, who he was never going to play himself out of the league, but he looked like he was headed towards career backup if things didn't go well in Minnesota. Things went well, went to a team in Seattle that believed in him, and now is a Super Bowl champion. I feel like there's going to be a lot of teams around the league who are thinking to themselves, hey, like, why can't we revive that guy's career in Kyler Murray? Why can't we revive Tua's career? Now, I would push back on Tua just given the concussion history. Like, I don't know if I want to go down that road, but Kyler Murray, like, he's been relatively healthy. I know he's dealt with knee injuries and stuff like that, but like, why can't Kyler Murray, who was the 1st overall pick and is wildly talented, why can't he have a resurgence in his career? And I wonder if teams, because I'm looking at it right now, the Carolina Panthers, when they traded for Sam Darnold, it was a 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick in 2022, but then it was a 6th round pick in 2021. So they gave like the worst pick in the first year, and then the better picks came in the years afterwards. Kyler can't go for a little bit more than that? And if I'm Arizona, I'm definitely interested if we want to go a full rebuild. So to me, that's what is so interesting about these kinds of guys, and coming off of this particular season where we saw the resurgence of Sam Darnold, and I think a lot of people might start talking themselves into some of these guys where it looked like their careers were going down the wrong road.
Yeah, and I think we have seen that be a conversation in the NFL, the lack of quarterback development for the young guys rising to this stage and not having maybe the smarts or the insights to play the quarterback position as we have seen in the last few years. When you have a veteran in the National Football League that you can develop in the right system, it makes a ton of sense. Recently, Daniel Jones, before the injuries, having some great success in Indianapolis. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, all relatively forgotten and in interesting circumstances when they were first drafted. Baker in Cleveland had some success with Kevin Stefanski. I don't think Sam Darnold had the greatest offensive scheme ever in his time during New York, and drafted there with Adam Gase. And, of course, Daniel Jones in a weird situation with the New York Giants. Brian Daboll taking over, having a career year, getting the big contract, but never really being Daboll or Shane's guy. That's the interesting component, Femi, for me, about both of the quarterbacks that we're discussing. Both Kyler and Tua had success with very bright young offensive minds early in their NFL career. Kyler was handpicked by Cliff Kingsbury because the guy that was drafted also in the top 10 of Sammy D's draft class was Josh Rosen, who was shipped out so that Cliff Kingsbury could have Kyler Murray. They made the playoffs. They hosted a playoff game. They did not end up winning said playoff game. Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel reached the postseason numerous times, but still have failed to deliver the Finns a playoff win since the 2000 NFL season. Both of those guys were in decent circumstances that just petered out. Of course, for Kyler, the change to Jonathan Gannon never really was great. The injuries kind of clouded all of that. The health bucket comment, as you just alluded to as well, Femi, where it feels like a fresh restart with a talented guy still under contract would make a ton of sense. But the comparisons, of course, with Sam Darnold, with Baker Mayfield, with Daniel Jones, those guys came from very murky situations to start their career. We have seen Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray have at least a bit of success in their NFL seasons so far.
Yeah, no, those guys, it just feels like they're not coming from all the way back like how Sam Darnold did. And also, we have to credit Sam Darnold because I know a lot of it's been made about like, hey, like, you know, like you can revive careers. Sam Darnold also put the work in. And like that is one thing that like even when he was struggling, he was always known as a hard worker. And he went to the Kyle Shanahan school of quarterback rehab for that 1 year with the Niners. And that also allowed him to develop a little bit more. And you have to give him full credit. Like, I don't think this was just like purely circumstantial with Darnold. He also did the work. The work has been questioned under Kyler Murray. Like, that's a part of it where, like, you know, like we all did the dance when he had the clause in the contract or whatever. Like he's got to watch film, and is he playing Call of Duty? Yeah. What is he up to? Like, so if Kyler's going to put the work in, then maybe he can become that Sam Darnold kind of story. But if he's not, then he's just going to be a starter, a bridge starter for somebody, whether it's Cleveland, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, whoever, and then probably not get a starting job afterwards. So the ball's in his court, but I just think that the talent is there, and he's shown us more than Darnold showed us. So I could see a team taking a bet on him.
Yeah, and just quickly, Femi, I think it's also worth noting where exactly are these guys going? You and I were live for when the Arizona Cardinals made the announcement of the hire for Mike LaFleur on that Sunday pre-Super Bowl. Not entirely inspiring. Nope. I'm not exactly sure what the Dolphins are looking at when it comes to Jeff Hafley. If you watch some ACC football at Boston College in the last half decade, I don't know if I love that recipe as well. Sam Darnold was under Kyle Shanahan, goes to Minnesota under the bright Kevin O'Connell, and of course working with Clint Kubiak, a revival. Baker had some of the best offensive minds in the sport in Dave Canales and Liam Cohen as his OCs in Tampa, and I still think Shane Steichen's a bright offensive mind, and Daniel Jones found a ripe environment. I don't know if I love Arizona or Miami as those developmental places to revive a quarterback career right here, right now.
Nah, I'd pass on those ones. if I was a quarterback that needed a home, not going there. Don't think that's going to be great for the career. Before we head to break, though, want to let the folks know, make sure you get VSiN Pro. Football season's over, but hey, we got March Madness right around the corner. MLB season fast approaching. Now's the perfect time to bet smarter. You'll get the daily best bets, the real-time DraftKings and Circa splits, AI-powered prop tools, 24/7 video and full show replays. Get started for $9.99 or save 50% off your subscription on an annual price there, VSiN.com/subscribe. We'll break down the All-Star Weekend when we return on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Making money moves here on a Friday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Femi Abebefe, Ben Stevens, hanging out with you guys, getting you set for what should be a fun weekend of betting. Broke down a little National Football League in the last segment, talking about where's the next spot for Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa. Where are these teams going to want to take flyers on these guys? Those answers will be revealed in about a month or so once the NFL kicks off its free agency. But for now, let's talk about what's happening this weekend. The NBA All-Star Weekend has arrived, Ben. It is in Los Angeles, and we have a number of festivities getting underway starting tonight with the Rising Stars game. You can bet on the Rising Stars. You know, there's a bunch of different teams. Yeah. There's a celebrity game. Giannis, did you see that Giannis is coaching the celebrity game, and like Shams is on his team? So Giannis will be coaching Shams there. I don't know if Kalshi will be involved with that activity, but that is a game that will be taking place later on this evening. But I think the All-Star Weekend is a fun betting opportunity just because, like, it's hard to price. We're all pricing this off of vibes at the end of the day. Like, let's be for real. Like, you have an educated guess, but at the end of the day, it's still a guess, even if it's somewhat educated. So we're going more off of vibes with this thing, which to me, that creates opportunity. And there's a couple of markets that I would like to attack here. But do you see yourself having a robust card NBA All-Star Weekend, or are you going to try to look to pick your spots here?
Not necessarily a robust card by any means, but Femi, for all that we will bemoan this weekend of the new festivities and the new format at NBA All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles, I do believe the betting markets allow some fun and some opportunity, at least to have a wager on it, a small one, if that, to just enjoy what we are seeing. You can bet the Rising Stars, look up the rosters, understand the head coaches, some of those studs of the mid-2000s, mid-2010s in the NBA coaching against one another. I do like All-Star Saturday night. Sure, it's not the dunk contest of the 90s or the three-point shootout of the Steph Curry era, but there are still a lot of fun things to be had. And I am really interested to see how this round-robin tournament of three squads on All-Star Sunday night plays out with Team Stars, that being the younger NBA All-Stars, Team Stripes, the older veteran presences in the NBA All-Star game, versus Team World, the international superstars, of course, of which there are many, and perhaps the most talented roster on paper entering All-Star Weekend on Sunday in LA.
Yeah, so the rosters are as follows. You mentioned it because we have like Team Stripes, Team Stars, and the World. So Team Stripes, the old vets, that's Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, no longer Steph Curry. Steph Curry got injured, so he's now been replaced by Brandon Ingram, Kevin Durant, De'Aaron Fox, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and Donovan Mitchell. Those are the old heads for Team Stripes. For Team Stars, you have Scotty Barnes, Devin Booker, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Anthony Edwards, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Johnson, and Tyrese Maxey. And for Team World, Victor Wembanyama. Giannis will not be playing in this game. He has been replaced. Neither will Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Luka's still up in the air because Luka's been dealing with his hamstring injury. I haven't seen any confirmation on whether Luka will be playing or not. They might take that. I'm about to say this. It might be a game time decision for this All-Star game with Luka Doncic. But Denny Avdia, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Norman Powell was once on. He was once on Team USA, but because of the injuries, we have tapped into his Jamaican descent to now put him on Team World. I am literally not even kidding. That was the report that was put out by the NBA. Pascal Siakam, Alperen Şengün, and Karl Anthony Towns. So those are the guys that will be on Team World. To me, just handicapping the game on Sunday, who knows how these like round robin games are going to go. I just want to bet on who I think is going to win this round robin tournament. And I do think it's going to be Team Stripes at plus 170. You can get that over at DraftKings. Team World is the favorite, plus 155. The Stars, the younger guys, are at plus 200. I think you're going to get a sense of pride from LeBron James, Kevin Durant. I mean, because Durant earlier this week, he pretty much called out Team World. He's like, they were asking, hey, like, what do you think the competitiveness is going to be in the All-Star game this weekend? And he said, well, why don't you go ask Luka and Jokic if they're going to be playing hard? Like the gauntlet's being laid down by the old heads of Team Stripes, and I want to play into that. So I think Team Stripes is going to win because I think they're going to take this as, all right, people are saying the All-Star game is terrible. They're saying that the European and like the world is starting to pass us. No, it's still our game. It's on our home soil. Let's go out there and make this a competitive game. And I think they're going to kind of shock some people. I think we're in store for something that's pretty entertaining come Sunday. So give me the USA Stripes at plus 170 Sunday afternoon for the All-Star game. I think they're going to take this round-robin tournament.
Those three numbers separated by less than $1 on DraftKings right now. Team World, the favorite to win the round-robin tournament, plus 155. Stripes, plus 170. Stars, plus 200. I say that, Femi, just because we are very, very narrow in all of those distinctions from the odds perspective. It should be noted the closest individual matchup, all three teams, of course, will play each other in the round robin format. Those three closest games in terms of a money line price is Team Stripes versus Team World. World, a slight minus 122 favorite, plus 102 on the other side for Stripes. In comparison, Stars versus Stripes. Stripes are a favorite at minus 125. Team World versus Stars, minus 142. I know that's a lot of numbers. Here is the format as we have it. 4 games, 12 minutes apiece, and you play continuously. So the winner of Team A will play Team C in game number 2. Team A versus Team B in game 1. Winner of Team A versus Team B will play Team C in game 2. Loser of game 1 will play Team C in game 3. We will take the best overall records and play for a champion in that 4th game. Femi, there, of course, is a world in 3 games where all 3 teams are just 1-1. Point differential then becomes that tiebreaker. And I bring up point differential because anytime you hear that, it leads to scoring. We have seen it in the Olympics. Teams trying to rack up a goal differential, so they lay the wood, trying to get 5-6 goals a game. We have seen it even in the NBA Cup in basketball. Understanding point differential can be that tiebreaker to earn a quarterfinal spot. So you have teams that are just adding it up into the 120s and the 130s. Every total for our 3 matchups in the round robin, 81.5, 82.5, 82.5. I think we might see some overs if those guys buy into the idea that a point differential could be key in those 12 minutes, and it still is an all-star game. It's not like we're going to see defensive intensity at its finest. No,
you're not going to get the defensive intensity. Although I think once you get close to maybe 2-3 minutes left or so, I think guys will ratchet it up a little bit because I want to play against this idea that they're just all going to mail it in. Because that seems to be the prevailing thought this week. It's in all the Daily Time talk shows. Everyone's on Twitter talking about it, saying the All-Star game is completely broken and Adam Silver needs to fix it. I do believe he needs to fix it, but I think that everyone is sick and tired of hearing this noise, that they're actually going to go out there and give us a competitive product. So I kind of want to play it back a little bit off of it's just going to be open gym like it has been in previous years here recently. All-Star game MVP, or I guess tournament MVP, if you want to call it that, I don't know, man. I just got a feeling. I think LeBron's going to win it. He's 16-1. He is 16-1. I think. Just think about this. From a narrative standpoint, this is likely his last All-Star game, right? Or I guess he could get voted in if he plays again next year. But there's a chance that this is his last go around. There's a non-zero chance that this is the last time for LeBron James. I think he's going to go out there and play. And the fact that it's in LA, obviously not at the Staples Center or Crypto, whatever they're calling it now, but it's at the Clippers Arena. But still, it's home turf for him. I could see the scenario where LeBron James and the fact that those guys end up playing hard, being look what the old heads did, and here's LeBron doing his thing. And if Team Stripes wins it, I think it's a pretty good bet taking a flyer on someone like LeBron. I know there's younger guys who might have the enthusiasm, but I think LeBron James in this kind of a setting doesn't have to play a 48-minute game. I like LeBron at price at 16-1.
And Femi, it's interesting because you would not often just say, hey, there's immediate value in the NBA All-Star Game MVP market, but with Victor Wembanyama now plus 425, half that of everybody else, and then 75 more cents, there is a little bit. Of course, if Team World, booked as the favorite, does win, and Wemby is a key reason why in this round robin, I think narrative perspective, trying to anoint that next superstar in the National Basketball Association, it makes a ton of sense just following the storyline and how we get to that short number of plus 425. But because it is so short on Wemby, there's a lot of value in other spots. You mentioned Jalen Brunson. 15-1 price. We heard from Will Hill earlier that if it's Team Stars, the younger NBA All-Stars from the American side, Cade Cunningham's 14-1. Anthony Edwards now working his way down to 15-1. I think there's a lot of value, and I think the number on LeBron is a great one. KD, the guy that you said really kind of wants to bring the onus to this event, 14-1 to win All-Star Game MVP.
Let's go, old heads. Old heads are getting it done, man. We're turning back the clock this weekend at NBA All-Star Weekend. Also, before we get ahead to another break here, let's go remind the folks that they can take advantage of this awesome promotion from our friends over at Upside. I mean, there's no reason to be paying full price at the pump anymore. Download Upside today. Use promo code SPORTS. Get 25 cents back per gallon on your first tank. Upside users are earning hundreds of dollars a year just by driving like they normally do. Promo code SPORTS. See upside.com for the terms. We wrap up all of our best bets on the other side here on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back to the final segment of Money Moves here on a Friday afternoon. Femi Abebefe, Ben Stevens on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We were just talking during the break because on the TVs here in the studio, ESPN is airing NBA Today, and we have not gotten a chance to talk about this on the show. Might as well bring it up now since it's top of mind. Chris Paul retiring from the NBA after 21 seasons. Hell of a career, a.k.a. the point god, one of the all-time greats. And we were discussing it because, like, from a betting standpoint, he obviously never won a championship, and that's unfortunate for Chris Paul. But when he was in his prime, he made teams better, especially in the regular season. And if you look at it, like, he joins the LA Clippers. The Clippers were terrible. It was just Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. All of a sudden, they become a contender in the Western Conference. Then he goes to Houston, and Houston has their big season where they get a 65-17 record, only to lose to the Warriors in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Goes to Oklahoma City. He was the guy that was kind of the mentor, the OG for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That team made a quantum leap. Goes to the Phoenix Suns. They make a quantum leap and go to the NBA Finals, ultimately losing to Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, Chris Paul in his heyday, that dude, if he joined the team in that first year, you wanted to bet that win total over because they were going to go over by like miles. And I think he had a hell of a career, great legacy. The championship is the thing that will not be on the resume, but one of the all-time greats, Ben, the point guard who, even back at Wake Forest, that this guy was going to be some kind of player, and he more than lived up to the hype going into the NBA.
No doubt. No doubt about it for Chris Paul. That 04 draft will live on forever as well. 21 years in the NBA, 12 times an NBA All-Star, 11 times All-NBA, second in both career assists and career steals in the history of the National Basketball Association, only behind John Stockton in both of those categories. And the greatest nickname a floor general could ever hope to have, the point guard. We say point guard often for a team, and hey, this guy is their version of the point guard, but there is one and true point guard, and his name is Chris Paul, CP3. He was a fantastic NBA player for a very long time. The career renaissance ending with the LA Clippers, not great this year, of course. Yep. That did not work very well for him, but in his prime, one of the greatest to do it at the point guard position. Chris Paul calls it a career after 21 NBA seasons. There was some thought, Femi, around the trade deadline. He might get dealt somewhere, clear waivers, maybe go to a contender for the final month or so before the NBA playoffs begin. He just decides to call it quits on his terms, 21 years in the NBA.
Yeah, heck of a season. And enjoy the time, man. 21 years, that's a long time to be playing basketball. And I'm not even sure, like, with the way the game is played now, if we're going to start seeing careers go this long. Like 20, I mean, the pace and space it's wild. And LeBron James has talked about it and said, hey, like, the game today is much harder than it was when I was coming up because of how frenetic the pace is and how much of the court you have to cover, with everyone on the court seemingly being able to hit from 25 feet out. So a very decorated career from Chris Paul. We wish him all the best in his post-basketball life. Real quick, though, Ben, I know you mentioned it earlier in the show. Wanted to give this bet out for the NBA All-Star Weekend. 3-point contest. Sounds like you're going with your boy Con Knipple. He is the favorite. He's at plus 250. I like a couple of guys. The first one's a long shot. And I was talking to our producer, Luke, about this before the show started. And he honestly kind of talked me into it because I forgot this guy was even participating. But then I was like, you know what? He's been knocking down threes all season long. And I just want to bet on the longest odds. Bobby Portis of the Milwaukee Bucks is 14-1 at DraftKings. Bobby Portis, for folks who might not know, this NBA season, is shooting 45% from three-point range. This guy is an absolute sniper. And why I love these big guys is because they don't have to use all this energy to shoot the basketball. And that's the big thing in the three-point contest. Can you save your legs for those later rounds when you have to go out there and win it in money time? Bobby Portis can do that as a bigger guy, and he shoots 45%. So I'll have a bet on Bobby Portis at 14-1. I will also have a bet, and this will be the bigger bet because I think this guy is going to actually win it. I'm pointing at my watch for those who might not be watching.
Wow.
It's Dame time. It's Dame time, Ben. He has not played this entire season. Don't care. What do you think Damian Lillard has been doing the last 4 weeks? Practicing for the three-point shootout. These guys are playing in games. They're on planes. They're on back-to-backs. Damian Lillard coming off the torn Achilles. This is the only competition he will have all season long. I think Damian Lillard, who has won this contest twice already in his career, wants to join that illustrious group of Larry Bird and Craig Hodges to win it a third time, the three-point contest. Dame time plus 450. I think he parachutes in and breaks the hearts of the rest of the field, and he is your three-point contest winner.
Is he on a scooter? Is he in a boat? In a boot, I should say? What exactly is Dame looking like off the torn Achilles? But I think
I don't know how they're going to do it.
You would expect. I don't either, really. But hey, let him sit in a chair and hoist threes, and I still think the plus 450 number is pretty good. He has the experience, and the one thing everybody will tell you about the three-point contest is it is more fatiguing than you would expect to get up that many shots in that quick of a time, and then to do it for multiple rounds to try to win as that three-point contest champion is difficult. So I don't mind the look at Dame. I like Con Knipple. I think he can win. The favorite number is not the best, and now it's not even 3-1 at plus 250, so some people believing in Con Knipple as well. And never doubt big game BP. When he needs to rise to the occasion, Bobby Portis always does do so. So I like that look. It's a clean, simple stroke for Bobby Portis Jr. I like all of the looks. I mean, and again, these are not exactly the staunchest handicaps or, hey, my model projects that this guy is going to hit 18.7 threes in every round. It's a small little sprinkle to have a little bit of a plus money price because everything is plus money as you're watching the All-Star festivities.
It's vibes, baby. That's what we're doing. Get the model out of here. Get the data quants out of here that are doing. We're going off of vibes. The vibes tell me Damian Lillard, who has probably been itching, like knowing what we know about Dame Lillard, the competitor that he is, not having been able to play since he went back to Portland, he has been itching to compete at something. This is his chance. And I think Saturday night, he will win a third three-point contest and add that to his decorated resume, which will likely end up with him being in the Basketball Hall of Fame whenever he decides to call it quits. All right, we got a few minutes left here on the program. Let's get down to some brass tacks here of some of the bets that we like tonight, and maybe even a little sneak peek for tomorrow. We will, for those who are listening and watching right now, Ben and I will be doing live bet Saturday tomorrow from 3 to 6 Eastern, so make sure you're sweating some college basketball with us on a nice Saturday. But to give the folks a little appetizer and an entree for tonight, what are you liking on tonight's card in college hoops or otherwise?
It's a great college basketball card. The Sharps all over Wisconsin, by the way. This line opened at 2.5. Ken Baum had the projection of Michigan State winning by 4 on the road in Madison. That line now just a point and a hook in favor of MSU. Another top 20 team in action, St. Louis, on the road tonight in the Windy City, taking on Loyola Chicago. Now, the Ramblers are not having a great year. They are just a 6-19 basketball team. St. Louis, conversely, is 23-1, looking for an 18th consecutive win, which would be one shy of matching the all-time program record of 19 consecutive set more than a decade ago in 2013-14. This is the best start for SLU that we have ever seen. If you forgot Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Robbie Avila, the star of 2 college basketball seasons ago for the Indiana State Sycamores, he is still playing. He is with St. Louis, followed his former head coach Josh Schertz from Terre Haute, all of course now to St. Louis. This is a really good St. Louis team, Femi. When you look at what they do on both sides of the basketball, they're the top effective field goal percentage offense and defense in the country, and that's where I'm focusing. Loyola Chicago, 265 out of 365 in offensive efficiency, second worst in the Atlantic 10. Only LaSalle worse than them in terms of those offensive efficiency numbers. I'm leaning on the under of 155.5 tonight in Chicago. Last 4 games for SLU in conference play when they have been booked as a double-digit favorite, all have hit the under. Trusting that defense for the Billikens tonight, under 155.5.
Anything in the Miami-Ohio game? I know they're taking on Ohio. There's a 10-point spread, at least in some sports books. 9.5 seems to be the consensus number.
I think it's a pretty good look for the Hawks, to be honest with you. The Red and White are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country, top 25. Their opponents in Ohio, bottom 35 in terms of three-point defense. A huge environment expected tonight in Millett Hall. I like Miami covering 9.5, would lean to the over. It was 163.5 earlier, now 164 and a hook. And I'll finish with this. We've talked about college baseball opening day. I texted the group chat of Femi and our producer Luke DeVos and said, mispriced number. Iowa and K-State in the desert in Phoenix. Kansas State a favorite on the money line. I think Rick Heller and his Hawkeyes often overlooked. I think they're going to make some noise in the Big Ten this year. Plus 124. I think the only reason Iowa is the underdog, their frontline starting pitching needs to be shored up. I really like this Iowa team. K-State could threaten for a regional out of the Big 12. I'll take Iowa as the money line underdogs.
Absolutely love a little college baseball on the show as well. For me tonight in college hoops, give me UNLV plus the 10. Boise State coming off of the big week, beating Nevada, New Mexico. I think they come back against an inferior team, maybe a little bit of a flat spot. UNLV gives them a game. That does it for us here on Money Moves. Stay tuned, though, on VSiN for Follow the Money with Stormy Bonatoni and Jonathan Von Tobel at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, VSiN Prime Time at 7 Eastern, and Cashing Out at 11 Eastern. And we'll see you guys later.